I do want to say what my original intentions were before I got involved in your strange California thing, because in case there's any misconception about that, the whole time I was doing the Facebook page, and it was like, what was my thing that I did? I was being satiric and ironic a lot. I think a point. The point was that, but where was I coming from? Somebody didn't like Obama. All right, the point I was making in my satire and everything was threefold. I would say one is, that we were in a phase where people felt like, he's going to stop the war, and maybe we're moving out of being a racist society. And people like me, who were like a lot of people awake about what's going on, there's a mass incarceration of black people going on. Matter of fact, a lot of these computers are made in there by people who could be paid like Singapore wages. Like, this mass incarceration of black people, black and white, who are like structurally adjusted out of our economy. They have no work. There's like actually no work for them. So I was like, what is everyone so excited about Obama? And like, we're an objective reality. Like, conditions for black people are getting very bad. Then secondarily, I was concerned because this sort of mode of thinking among so-called like liberals or something was that there's this generation who's like sort of like going to be less successful than their parents, or they're adrift, and they need to go into like psychoanalysis, and they all have mental disorders. And I said, wait a minute, this is why we're not like Europe. We don't know about the concept of people living on inherited wealth, like thinkers, artists, so on and so forth. No. They're all being diagnosed with mental illnesses. So that was like twofold. Like, I was sort of on the side of, the poor and the incarcerated, and also on the side of like, wait a minute, could we move more to Europe in the sense that we need to be there to be thinkers? And also my sort of hostility to the healthcare plan that was proposed was that, having at the time being studying political economy, I realized that no matter what they do, we're going to have it. It's pretty cost prohibitive is the secret, because the country's so unhealthy. And I was sort of talking about the raw vegan lifestyle in light of that. Those were sort of what was on my mind when I started my satiric thing, where I was like the right-wing guy. It was highly satiric. Okay, now I was doing that, and like my I don't know, my family was trying to be institutionalized, and it seemed like people came into that weird high price nut house like specifically to like, I don't know, like to play a role or something, or like as though they knew something was going on at the Facebook pages. I ran from there. When Occupy launched, landed down in New Orleans, but the whole time I was doing this big Facebook page and making it sort of funny. Then I landed in San Francisco, and I find out that like people who do that activity, that the left wing or whatever, turned out to be like computer programmers. And they like know your name, and they bring people around, like people on your Facebook page, and you're doing some kind of giant thing in California where a lot of it has to do with like sort of manufacturing coincidences and bringing actors around and people communicating in like signals. So my God, they're doing what they did in Egypt and Tunisia with the Facebook people, but they're doing it. It'll be like a nonviolent revolution in consciousness, and I'm like participating in it. And then I didn't. And wow, I'm in a game, but it's like all about like waking me up politically. But I kept playing my satiric role, like right-wing guy, and just playing a role. Oh, there's the other thing. I realized immediately that parts of the city, it's like a movie. Everyone's like playing a role, but it's not real. So I like played my satiric role as like the right-wing intellectual, okay? Okay, but then, I got isolated in an apartment and everything, and so on and so forth. This whole time I'm aware this is going on. But the thing is, it's never clear, like, I mean, really, I'm saying, other than what you're introduced to, well, you're just going on faith when you make these. I mean, there's no indication that technically in 3D, no one sees the videos, no one knows what you're talking about, what game. But that's okay. I saw enough stuff happen around me where I guess that's how they're doing it. Some people don't know about it, and those who do are like, I don't know what you're talking about, bro. And that's cool. That would be some kind of nonviolent revolution in consciousness in which people with big YouTube channels and Facebook pages are like playing a big role. In particular, I was introduced to the concept because I was very hostile to my own people who are like institutionalizing the 20 and 30 somethings instead of telling them they may have a role to play in, being a thinker or a writer or something. And just because they're living on inherited wealth, perhaps that's why we don't get to where Europe is. But I'm saying everything has a hard edge on it that is like you're sort of constantly fighting off being like either freaked out or like a little annoyed or whatever. But it got really intricate. I mean, when I went to this rehab without walls to get my sobriety back, I mean, my God. I mean, the types of abuse they were doing on me. I mean, but then it kept leading, like, this is leading to something. Now we're in a hotel. I don't know what my family's being told. Thank God I got a lawyer and they're out of my life, but I'm not sure if they think I'm in like a psychological experiment or if they're just so worried about my sobriety that they're willing to pay for this. But no one really does ever tell me what you did down here, and all the little clues are sort of technically they're kind of a form of psychological abuse, but I understand that that's how we're doing our thing. But I mean, it's never even clear if the task is done or I should get out of town or what's going on. I just sort of wait and see, but nothing like positive ever happens. I mean, it's all very, there's a hard edge on it, and I'm not really sure if everybody knows who I am or knows what I was doing to begin with, and it does get a little spooky.